not yet seen who the supervisor is, but, and most of you can picture this in regards to the McDonald's outlet. There is the trash can there by the door, and there are trays that on the people leave. Well, as Jennifer came into the door, not yet clocked in, not yet reported, saw the trays, and automatically picks them up and takes them back and takes care of them.
Yep.
Now, that is a successful employer,
You bet.
an employee.
That's a work ethic that we want to emulate.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it comes about by virtue of how well individuals here, the job coaches, the employment specialists, worked with our daughter and ourselves, and it is an absolute ideal situation. If I use it for just something that we would like to see for ourselves, but even more than that, I imagine that it would widespread the need, and that is transportation. You know, you mentioned, what is it that an employer wants? Wants an individual who dresses appropriately, who behaves socially acceptably, has a job commitment, and is able to report to work in a consistent time and manner. It's that piece, and we live in Richmond Hill, Lyon County, and we're so thankful for Cindy expanding the program out so that it incorporates, and that's how we actually were waiting to get into the program. And it's worked out, as I say, in an ideal manner. However, the transportation piece, we provide the transportation, no problem. We're both retired. The job site is 5 minutes away, but that's not a real position. But with true employment, you know.
We want them to get there on their own.
Exactly, and in past times has been able to demonstrate calling for taxis or have no difficulty if the transportation service is there. And I would imagine that one or more of parents here, and certainly throughout the community, that is one of the improvements that I think would go very successfully with your vision in terms of getting out in the community. You have to have that transportation piece.
Well, thank you for that input. That's a fantastic point. And back to my example that I've used in my own mind about the Walgreens example. He writes about his son eventually getting his driver's license, and so I enjoyed reading that. And so I appreciate your point of the transportation. So what I would say is, may I take you on a speaking tour? We'll look at that, but clearly, thank you for your testimony. I mean, that is absolutely incredible.
I appreciate it.
And we'll look at that. Let me make one other point here, that as we're going through, particularly over in the training area, the quantum area, and whether they're in the food industry or the warehousing industry, what we're attempting to do, what we're laying out and just basically brainstorming through, are the jobs that are in our area. So that's very important that we teach the right skills for what's out there. So that's an imperfect system, because obviously manufacturing, warehousing, logistics, aerospace, all those entities that are in our area, they have business fluctuations, as we're all probably aware of, even in our own careers. So we're trying to do that, and it's just not Boyd over there just throwing things out haphazardly. We've got two students. Wanda Bonstead went over and worked with Armstrong. We have two great economic students who just started a project, and they're looking at the catering culinary area. And they're basically going to write us, between now and May, when they graduate, they're going to write us a business plan. And what's the possibilities? What should we be doing in that area? And we're talking with another person about starting almost the same situation over in the warehousing logistics area, in the assembly area. So we're trying to get our arms around data and what's going on in our area, so that we're training people and the possibility of those jobs that are out there. So it's not just haphazard.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I see that you're trying to move everybody from here out into the workforce. I have a sister, she's been here since it was Keeler. So, at one time they did have her in the community, but it devastated her because she was working at Johnson and she was ridiculed. She went through a whole lot of stuff. Getting there, having to go across the different places to get from our house to there with the bus. The bus drivers were real nice in helping her get on and off, but it wasn't a good environment for her. So she's here. So I know her capabilities and I know her limitations. So what goals have those individuals that are not able to go into the community? What kind of programs do you have for them, for those that are going to be here?
Certainly. Again, thank you. Very good question. First of all, let me kind of back up on that. I would never force anyone to do anything between them and you as family members. That would never even occur to me. So I want to make sure everyone understands that. In the example that you're alluding to, what we can do, the best thing here is, again, going back to bona fide training skills to present to her opportunities that could be out there. Meaningful work / skills that she would be learning day by day here. I go back to the point I made earlier about that building over there. That building, we lease that from the state, and we have for many years, and that building's not going to go away. There are providers in the state of Georgia who don't believe in having buildings. They truly don't. That's just the way they operate, and I don't know if they're successful. It's truly none of my business, as long as they're serving and helping people. I think that building should be turned into an integrated business in and of itself. That way, the person who has been here for a while, like your sister or someone else, they're comfortable here, they're secure here, but at the same time, if I could turn that into a business of some sort, or businesses, then they're still accomplishing the same thing. And I think for them personally then, the outside world is not an option. But the business, working, productivity, a bona fide competitive wage that's over there, that's the goal that I have in mind for them. That's going to require some legalistic aspects to it. We have a great board of directors that has 2 attorneys on it, and so I've talked to both of them about that, how to do that. It's just a question really of what do we do? What business do you want over there? I had someone come to me once and said, you know, you got such a great culinary catering kitchen area that maybe what you want to do is just sort of have a drive-through restaurant of some sort. That has come about. A couple of us were talking this morning. We had an agency just down the street that said that's a fantastic idea. We'd love to do that because they have no food in their building other than some vending machines. So what we're really talking about, until you can sort of get that stuff going, is why don't we just take a cart in our van and drive down there at a certain time, and we can walk through their building and sell and serve. And of course they've been part of making and baking and cooking and all that, the prep for those products, and then we can take it down the street and sell it. So that might be an interim step before we can get there. I'll tell you that when we do that over there, we have a great building, we have a great area, but as you do things, whether it's a drive-through or other machinery or whatever you want to do in there, we're going to have to take a look at the budget side just like you would for anything else. And so that's a challenge. Leanne Powell, who works for Cindy, she's our fundraiser, she's our development manager. And so we're always looking for grants. We're always looking for contributions. Many businesses help us out. For whatever reason, they don't like the hiring aspect. They don't like the job piece, but they believe in what we're doing. And that's perfectly fine. I'll keep talking to them, and I'll keep twisting their arm and convincing them. But meanwhile, if they can help us financially, that's always appreciated as well. So we can take that and then create that into that idea. I hope that's not too of a broad answer for you, ma'am, for your sister, but I think that's a possible solution for people who might not want to go to the community type business. Yes, ma'am.
I had an idea for the.
Excellent, Miss Nicely. This is
Well,
our van away for the morning here. She's gonna write things down for us.
one thought is that if you wanted consistent food orders,
Mhm.
there's some private schools in the area
Mhm.
that, instead of them getting junk food from wherever, the fast food places,
Mm-hmm.
for their lunches for their kids, perhaps something could be set up for, they
Yep.
could provide, the food for the,
One
the
day a
schools.
week.
Yeah,
lunches or
exactly.
We,
Yeah.
we do Hancock Day School. We already do that with
Oh,
them.
good.
We'll certainly take, if you know people who would entertain that thought and you can introduce us, we'll be glad to go down that road.
Okay.
That's a wonderful idea.
Let's have another one.
Please.
The parochial schools
We,
are like
we
that.
have plenty of room and plenty of ink to write down ideas.
Okay, this is sort of an improvement, a question, and there's so many good, dedicated people here. I do understand, my daughter's in the workshop, and there seems to be limited staffing, and there's so much they have to deal with,
Mhm.
okay? There's behaviors, and, and she even has them, Some days are good, some days are bad. But my real concern is, there's a lot of sitting around.
Mm.
There is not, they're just sitting, they're not talking, they're not learning life skills, they're not, now y'all don't hate me for this.
Can
but-
I get an amen from the staff?
But something needs to be done, there's so much need in
Yes.
the community.
Right.
Can't they be doing something that would help people in the community instead of just sitting, they want to be useful, they want to be needed.
Yes.
Can't we
Yes.
rewrite the rules?
Yes.
I mean,
Well, I'm not trying to cut you off. The short answer is yes. Yes, 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 yes. There are no rules. Okay? There are no rules. You're exactly right. And that's the part that I was saying earlier, and I'm just using the term a training program or training curriculum. So rather than sitting around, let me teach you something about teamwork or timeliness or scheduling or any of the skills that might have to do with, we've already sort of brainstormed through the kitchen area. And Angie Reel, who's our chef over there, a lot of great ideas. And you're not going to teach everything in one day, and you wouldn't want to. So whether that person is working, and if they're here 6 hours a day, then maybe they're actually preparing the food for a school or some agency, but there's an hour left over. Let's put them in class of some sort. Let's keep them busy and learn about kitchen and recipes and sanitation and that sort of stuff. There's a it's really nationally, but it's really firmly fixed in Georgia here called ServeSafe. That affects all restaurant people who work in the kitchen. Great topics. Great. I mean, just we'll steal the topics and we'll teach about it. We have enough people, and if you have a particular specialty, nursing, beautiful. That's beautiful. Or you've run businesses, you've worked yourself, and you like to come in for an hour and give a class on X, we'll integrate that right into the day. You're absolutely correct. So what I would ask for all of you, and I know because I've seen it on paper, I've heard it from the staff, the person is sitting, they're bored, and you take them home. I understand that. I understand. Or they don't come. So it's a double-edged sword. We have to make it meaningful to be here, because if they're not here, we don't get paid.
And the thing about not being able to find out very good. And the reason why I'm responding back to that, and thank you for that, for bringing that. My daughter, I know what she did do.
Mhm.
She's 38, very broad. I said, Desi, what'd you do today? Oh, we didn't have no project. Well, what'd you do out there to sit? Well, okay. The time that she's sitting, there's no project.
Mhm.
How about having another type of a building or somewhere near that she loves to do,
Mhm.
take care of people, because I'm a nurse, and she
Mhm.
likes to do that, or she likes to cook, or she loves to cook, Do something that she loves to do.
Sure.
That even can help the other residents that you know, just sitting there. Oh, you need any help? Anything? Something that she know that make her feel that she's doing something.
Yeah.
Instead of just
Learning
sitting,
something, being productive.
You know,
Absolutely.
right? So that makes her want to get. If she doesn't get up 6 o'clock in the morning and get ready to come here, not just to, you know what I mean? Not her make her herself feel.
We have heard that. We hear you loud and clear. And I assure you that everybody here has heard that from me, from each other, and we are taking steps as quickly as possible to identify those type of programs, topics, and it's just a question of really scheduling it. Because there are lots of other things that supervisors and instructors have to do, to include driving vans twice a day. So there's a lot of things going on, but if you're going to commit to giving your son or daughter, sister, brother here for 6 hours a day, we're going to make it meaningful for them. We're going to do that.
But you can also find out what they like to do.
Of course.
Because we as caregivers, we have our own agenda.
Right.
We need to ask them what would they like to do.
Sure.
And then incorporate the staff to do that, because even the staff, they don't know.
Right.
Because they're not with them 24 hours. We have them 24 hours. And so they need to maybe ask them, what would you like to do to make your life here? Instead of the staff just saying, this is what we're going to do. Ask them, can you be surprised? My sister loves travel. What we do? We in my organization, we in first place. All the time. So that's something that she likes.
Good.
If we ask them some things that they need, it's skills. It keeps them motivated. It keeps them, active or whatever. And so I think sometimes we overlook them.
Yep.
And we need to ask them, what do you like?
Well,
What are you interested in? And then get together with the staff and then plan something that keeps them busy. Because, they get, their attention span is short. And I know mine is too.
Right.
I'm retired, but, still some days you have to find stuff to keep you busy.
Certainly.
So I think if you ask them, what is it that you like? And incorporate that into your business plan or whatever you're going to do, you would see the kids, you would see them motivated.
Certainly. Well, one of the first things we do is we go back to Kim and the case managers and what was put into that individual plan, which should have incorporated some of it. Now, there's no reason why we can't update it and that, but that's what we are required to do to make sure that your sister is working towards those goals that were established. One of the things that Kim has brought up, and I think it's just something we have to start doing with the state, is to revisit that plan, whatever that time frame is, and get around the bureaucracy of what it takes to change it, approve it, and make sure we have all the signatures on there. But you're absolutely right. That just happens to be the base document that we can, as a minimum, we can go back to.
Also,
Kim, you want to say something about that?
I would like to address this real quick because within the pre-vocational services, we do have, I won't say limitations, and we will revisit that, but you were mentioning scrapbooking. We do ask the individuals what they like to do and things like that, but within the service area that they're in, pre-vocational services are to work towards employment. So whatever tasks they're given throughout the day have to relate to that. So really we couldn't do scrapbooking unless we can translate that to a job. Does that make sense?
But yeah, more than that, because what you're doing here, I asked my daughter, I said, well, but you do the day does, right? We didn't have no company come in and help us out.
Right.
So she sat. So I said, was there anything else she did? She said, no, I just watched other people.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, maybe there's people much more intelligent or less intelligent than her mind frame is. Is there anywhere in this company that she can go into another spot and help?
Yes, we're looking at that. Dr. Boyd's looking at all of that. I can tell you, whenever I look for Dr. Boyd, I can't find him because he's everywhere. He wants to know every last detail of the organization. And for me, I really appreciate that because He's gathering information, and he warned us when he came. He said, I ask a lot of questions. Don't take offense, that's how I learn, So he's asking questions of all the different service areas because he does want to improve. He's hearing, the feedback, and I can assure you that he's going to address it. So we are looking at different types of things that our folks can learn in the plant. We call it the plant sometimes, but the warehouse or whatever area they're in. But we do have to be careful that we aren't giving them, because a lot of times the individuals will go home and they'll say, we haven't done anything. Well, they might have not done, they might not just be sitting there, but what they did wasn't maybe meaningful for them. So we are looking at other things they'll be able to do that translate to work. That's important.
What we have to do is somehow there's an answer between something very, very specific and something that might be more on the hobby side. There's something in the middle there. The clear point is not to come home and tell you I just sat there and stared out the window. Yes, ma'am.
I just use the scrap again.
No, it's a great example.
Very good.
Just as Kim said, if we can correlate that in some form or fashion over to their goals, absolutely, it's a great idea. The overall point in my mind is we got to get off of zero. Okay, we got to get off of staring out the window and watching the birds chirp. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I know your main interest is getting them prepared to go into the workforce. But even people who work have to have some recreation. So it can be put into...
Really? My wife.
Well, no, I don't want to get into that. She may be a honeydew wife. I don't mess with domestic tranquility. But they need a break away from their learning. They need to train to be a well-rounded individual, and isn't this what we're working on? Isn't this what we're trying to achieve?
Certainly.
Now, I understand that their ISP has to be written according to work. But why can't, as my sister just did, why can't we tear it up and add something else to it? If you're spending 5 hours training them for a job, why can't they have a hobby, a recreation, an activity?
Exercise.
Yeah, make a list. Make a list.
Because they're sitting there, they're
Crocheting, painting, knitting, scrapbooking,
physical activity. Yeah.
all of these things.
Kim, you want to address that?
Here, I'll still come up here.
Face to face, eyeball to eyeball.
Let me say one thing. Kim's up. I'll say you're all okay. We can come in a third. So I want to be very respectful. I want to be very respectful of time, but don't shut down.
I get when you're in the gym, gets home, something in the kitchen better smell like food. Or he's going to be upset.
We're just trying to get a roundabout exactly what we doing here and what's going to happen.
Right. So to address your question directly, we are looking at that as well. We talked about pre-vocational services. We talked about community employment services. We touched on community access group as it relates to dehabilitation. But we are starting to create groups for community access group, which is just another service, that we provide, where we can kind of customize that individual's service so that they do have a well-rounded, meaningful day. So we could have them in pre-voc for part of the day where they're learning job skills, and then maybe another part of the day they're doing something in community access. So those conversations are going on here.
Well, I wasn't so much thinking as taking a huge block, but for instance, take some of the ladies. I'd refer to them as girls, but it's probably not appropriate at my age. I could teach them to knit or crochet. Okay, you got a small block here. But just think what's going to happen when they go home and they want mom and dad or somebody to go out and buy them some yarn and go out and buy them some knitting needles. You've got them involved at home with something besides sitting there glued to the TV or just sitting there rocking.
Absolutely.
You are expanding their whole
Yeah.
person.
We have, just to support Kim and what all of us are saying, we're all on the same sheet of music. And I just use 6 as a number.
Right.
We have 6 hours. The best way we can do that in terms of the variety of topics and how we can do it, we are certainly open to all of that. We do have the regulatory stuff that we'll dance.
And you've got to meet requirements.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay. And so in terms of creation or hobbies or however you want to word that, we are open to suggestions.
Well, that doesn't have to happen every day of the week.
Of course.
Right,
that's
yeah.
it.
And also,
You've got
30 minutes,
you've got
and you've had their attention.
exactly
but
right.
and you don't lose them or tire them or
And so
fatigue
what-
them
so
or
what-
frustrate them.
Exactly right. Yes, ma'am. Sean's mom.
But
I have an observation.
Certainly.
I owned a business for several years. And if the people that came to my business as employees wanted to do their hobbies at my business, I'd fire their butts. Pardon my French.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think we need to make you responsible for their entertainment. I know Sean becomes a major behavior issue if he's bored. I realize that. We've dealt with it forever. But we get bored because he cannot communicate. But this is their hobbies, not your responsibility, in my observation.
Well,
That's my responsibility.
well, let me say I appreciate that point of view. All I want all of you to know, because I don't think we have all the perfect answers at this point. What I'm trying to paint the picture is, 6 hours a day times 5. If that's the block of time we have, county transportation, what is the best way we can utilize those 6 hours, chopped up into a variety of topics that are taught and supervised by us or a guest visitor or an expert or a family member who has that expertise or likes to do it. I'm all for it. And it has to get put down on paper, it has to get coordinated, and the overarching goal, obviously, in terms of the majority of stuff, is business preparation. Yes, ma'am.
I just thought about something that's had an epiphany. And I thought about, as everybody was talking about, you know how you have college students, they have to do their internship. I thought of it because my granddaughter does it. And they're required to do that 20 hours. And that's sort of like a free thing for us and the credit for them.
Yeah.
And if we could kind of get somebody to come in and help,
Yeah.
doing that downtime.
Yes.
To do something that would also be helping them to learn some things when it comes to their own employment area, and also, we're helping them and they're helping us.
I totally agree. Having that's a little bit, and I go into a lot of detail, 2 students from Armstrong that are doing business. Now, that's not quite what you're talking about. They'll have some interface with individuals, but they're looking at it from a business perspective.
That's what we
But
said, instead of them sitting there, they can go, oh, there's another
Yeah.
project we can do. Well, that's something new I can learn. Well, I can learn that, You see, that's what I'm stating. They sitting there, you say, oh, okay, well, I'm done with this project. Can I go to this project? And I said, I can do this project?
what I've done initially is tap into the post-secondary resources that I'm familiar with. You feel for staff positions, but certainly intend to move into what you're talking about. And you're absolutely correct. It's a great resource to use.
It's like how the Board of Education uses substitute teachers, They don't come in unless they're needed.
Yes, ma'am.
I have 2 quick points. One, a lot of great things happen here, but a lot of our relatives aren't verbal, so we don't know about them. Communication. y'all try really hard. We have the newsletter. If we knew their schedules, if, you know, my nephew is in one of the community access groups, their schedules change a lot, but if I knew his schedule more, I could communicate with him more about it, so I would know what he's doing instead of, and I know it's not possible, but every, you know, what they're working on when he was in the plant. What are you working on this week? Are we working with Dole? Are we working with Unita? Just something you can communicate, bring that home and talk to them about their work with.
Wonderful.
Communication is a good thing.
It's excellent.
The other thing I'd like to bring out too is not all the clients are ever going to be able to go out one-on-one into the community. What worked really well in high schools when they were small groups, similar to the community access that they're doing now, but for employment purposes, small groups, doing small projects with someone that you know is there to help them, that is used to them not being verbal, can communicate from them, can recognize their issues and make sure they're safe. My issue is safety with the